over 700,000 people take their life each year. That's one person every 40 seconds. 115 people die by suicide in the UK, with 75% of those being male. 1 in 5 people have suicidal thoughts. 1 in 14 people self-harm. 1 in 15 people attempt suicide. Males aged 45 to 49 have the highest suicidal rate. 15% of young people self-harm. My name is Mitchell Lewin, and you are?
I am Joel May.
And welcome to the Talking Shrimp podcast.
Yes, hello.
Thank you for joining us today. Bit of a different intro.
Yeah, we thought we'd be poignant.
We want to address something, and it is men's mental health. And mental health in general, being that it is the month of...
June.
And it's what month? Men's Mental Health Month?
It is, yes.
And we want to draw attention to it and make people aware. And if you didn't already know, yes, it is like the last 2-3 days of the month.
But we thought we'd leave it until the end of the month
to draw your attention to it. Because if you didn't already know and you're only just finding out from us, that's how poorly this information has got to you.
Yeah, it's not been advertised, and we're pretty fed up of stuff like this. Not just being a male, but in general. I think mental health is pretty messed up with how our country is ran, especially. And if you're listening from a different country, let us know. Because ours is not good with this, I would say. I would say there's areas that are good and key, but they are very small and not funded in the correct ways that could work and prevent further, rates that you've just said.
100%. And that's why we're here, to draw attention to it. I'm apologising now. This might not be the most light-hearted and cheerful episode that we've ever done, but if you can listen to this and take something from it, then that's more than we could ever ask. And we like to promote ourselves as advocators for mental health, and this isn't the first time we've done a mental health related podcast. So
yeah, but we want to have this as more of a point where we prevent someone or some issue that might have been came from mental health. That if we can stop it or prevent it, then that's brilliant. That's the target for not just this podcast, all of our podcasts, of course, but specifically this one. So if you are struggling, we hope that you listen, we hope that you like it, and we hope that we help you today. And if we don't, we do apologise, but reach out to us. We're always here. Just DM us. Simple as that.
Exactly. We have email, we have Instagram. Yep. If you know us personally, then by all means, speak to us. And failing that, not us, family, friends, and all that, lovable stuff. And your pet dog.
Oh, yeah, the pet dog. I'm failing that. Have you watched the SpongeBob episode where they use the shell to call upon something?
I have. I'm wondering.
I feel like we could do that. So if you have a shell lying around,
shell.
Yeah, just blow into it.
There you go. We will appear. Got a shell, talking to the shell and listen to the ocean.
Yeah, and that's our first shrimp top tip. Top tip from
the shrimps.
There you go.
Well, obviously, with it being men's mental health, I want to touch on that to start off with it being the month of June.
Yes.
And stigma and masculinity.
Yeah.
That's where I want to draw us to first and say...
I like it. Yeah. I don't like it. I like that point. Yes. I agree. There is a massive stigma towards males that needs changing. It's 2024 and everything else is changing, but I feel like that is becoming very stale and staying the same. Which doesn't make a lot of sense compared to other areas of people and their choices and life is the best way I could put it. Whereas I think you can now identify as anything that you like. That's totally fine. I don't see an issue with it, but there's still a stigma attached to specifically men's mental health that I don't agree with. So, yeah, on that note, we aim to change that. We aim to, how's the best way of putting this? I wouldn't say educate people, because I think that's been a bit of a...
misogynist way to talk about it.
Yeah. We're here just to, Maybe put some guidance out there, or some facts and figures, some opinions that maybe aren't heard every day.
Yeah, I think it comes down to two things mainly. It's like the stereotypes.
Yes.
Firstly, the stereotype of what a male should be.
Like the food provider and the worker,
yes.
And
this is where I'm saying it's two things. The first one is the thoughts of other people towards males, which is exactly what I just said then and what you were touching on then. The thought of what a male should be, the stereotypes, the stigmas and all that lot.
Yep.
Then the other part of it is the actual males themselves, and me and you are just as bad for this.
Yeah. 100%.
And it's not talking about things.
No, yeah, I completely agree. And I think that even when we do have conversations, I don't think maybe we know how to not do it the correct way. Maybe explain ourselves the correct way, or get our heads around certain feelings and emotions, because we have grown up in that stigma era. And I've got to be honest, we haven't got kids, but if we were to have kids, I would want to educate them on to be, a different kind of platform where they don't feel like or end up like this, is the best way I could put it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely on the right way. I mean, look at the change it's been since the generations of our fathers to now, and how much of a culture change there is generally.
Yeah.
And that's not just towards men's mental health or mental health, that's towards anything really.
Oh yeah, definitely. But then you look at certain things, like, I'm using an example, but Pride Month and everything surrounding it.
I believe this month as well, by the way.
Yeah, there you go.
I believe that's June. I believe Pride Month is now.
I would say most people have heard that, and most people know that that's a thing. Whereas if you were to ask quite a lot of people when Men's Mental Health Month is, or Mental Health Month in general as well, I don't think all those people could probably tell you.
No.
Whereas I personally think that should top certain things like that, where they matter more to a wider range of people, is the best way I could put it. I feel like LGBTQ plus and stigmas and stereotypes surrounding, diversities as themselves have grown in loads of ways in the past, probably decade at least, probably further too. But I do feel like that stuff like this needs to maybe take a leaf out of their book and adapt in ways that they have to educate or get it out there, get messages out there, and make it more of a general sort of message, is the best way I could put it.
You had me panicking for a second then.
I came back.
Yeah, you brought it around nicely. I understand what you were saying by the end.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's bad. That's
no, you're saying that the way that the stigma and the stereotyping of
changed.
The idea of what someone of LGBTQ plus has changed from what the stigma and the stereotype in people's heads is to what I'm going to say these people actually are, which obviously that's not correct terminology to say these people are, but it could be anyone. Like it could be me or you. It could be anybody in this world could be part of that community, the same as me or you or anybody else in this world could be struggling with mental health.
Yeah, 100%. Even like if people aren't showing it, I think it is just as simple as asking and just reaching out. That's all it can be. It doesn't have to be finding someone bawling their eyes out or distraught or them approaching you. It only takes a minute, to ask if someone's okay. That's all it takes sometimes.
Yes, and that's it. And I think that's the biggest part. I think that's more of the issue. Not more of the issue. I think from knowing myself as a male and presuming that, I know you shouldn't presume, but a lot of males are probably the same. It's the actual talking about things that is harder than when people actually offer you help, not taking it.
Yeah, I agree. I think. Would you say it's harder to explain how you're feeling or explain the situation going on in your head? Because I'd say it's two different things that you separate from your brain and your heart. Personally,
I don't know. Cause sometimes it's just nothing.
Sometimes
it is literally there's nothing wrong, and the issue is just you just feel a bit down. I had it the other day. I spoke about it near the start of this month on one of the podcasts, and I just said I just was feeling down. Just had feeling crap, and was due to nothing. Nothing caused it. Things were going well. I was running. I was feeling fit, healthy, eating, and all that lot. But yet, I had a really poor 2 or 3 days where I just absolutely felt like ass.
Yeah.
Basically.
So physically good, but mentally
physically
not the
getting
best.
better.
Yeah, I know, but for that time,
Yeah.
your physical health was fine, not to worry about. Like that's fine. That's not an issue. But mentally, not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. And to be honest, though, we'll be honest about this. We'll open the situation up. You mentioned it to me, but there wasn't a lot of talking that we did about it.
No,
really.
it is true.
And again, like we could turn it around and say we're not having a go at people out there, certainly, like in that way. But again, having a go at ourselves as well in that situation.
I will say though, in our defence, and in my defence and your defence, we did come on here and talk about it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I did open it up that I was.
Yeah, but not a lot.
No,
it was mentioned, but not a lot.
No, I suppose not.
Yeah, it's almost like the the British thing in saying like the common thing is you walk past someone, you're right, and just going, yeah, you, and that's it. That's the response.
Do you know what? I'm lazy. I'm really lazy. When people ask me that.
You all right?
All right.
Yeah.
See what I did?
Even, yeah.
Don't need to get 2 words in there. Just answer with all right. I'm saying I'm all right. I'm also then returning the question to them saying, all right, are you all right as well?
Yeah. No, I agree. Which
is, probably not very good because it's just lazy and not.
But
really answering the question.
I'll be honest about it. I personally feel like being a bloke, it is completely different to the situation where other people might find themselves in. So what I mean by that is when an issue might be going on in our heads, or any older blokes or anything going on. How do I put it without sounding bad? I wouldn't say no one gives a shit, but it really feels like sometimes nobody gives a shit.
Yeah. No,
because you're specifically a bloke. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of one of those where, knock it off, mate. Tomorrow will be better. Type thing. That's the best way I could put it.
Yeah.
And it's so bad that is the case, and that's how people. I guarantee you, a lot of blokes have felt like that.
Oh, definitely, and they've just not spoke about it.
Yeah,
because
100%.
It's the feeling of either being ignored or the stigma and stereotype of point. It's the worry of what the repercussions are, or the not laughing stock that they will feel, but just all the factors that could come from it.
Yeah, even down to something as simple as go to a Town game and Town lose, and someone will come up to you and say, "Oh, why are you a bit down? Oh, Town lost. Oh, really? Is that it?" And I know that's it. I get that, but it really can little things, and to joke you wouldn't joke about other things specifically, possibly. If you came back from work and said, "Oh, I've had a really shit day today. I've really struggled today at work or something." They'd go into it. They wouldn't laugh at you. They'd go into it, but because it's something other than that. It doesn't matter what it is, but if it's affected you,
I suppose
it shouldn't matter what it is.
Yeah, I do agree. I'm not saying.
It doesn't have to be
I suppose
anything.
it's only because it's an entertainment thing. But yeah, as you say, it doesn't matter, does it?
No.
People get affected by different things, different reasons.
Yeah, 100%.
Different feelings towards stronger or weaker, and that shouldn't matter.
Yeah, you shouldn't react differently upon them. Is the best way I could put it.
I suppose it's coming down to every human has feelings different to yours. Therefore, you should respect others.
Yeah. But that's the way that I put it.
Yeah.
You respect others in maybe physical ways or ways upon pronouns. Yeah. But then mental health seems to be taking a back seat on that. True. And I don't understand why.
I can understand that. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Another thing that I think needs to change is the education system around mental health. Because I feel like kids these days are just numbers on paper, especially to people higher up. And I don't agree on that.
Completely agree.
It's fucking shit.
Education this day and age is terrible.
It's awful. It's on its knees, genuinely. And kids aren't allowed to be kids.
Schools aren't schools; they're businesses.
100%. Yeah, it's
everything's
all
a business.
Facts and
Everything's
and
money.
Stuff like that. But when it comes down to kids as well, you're gonna continue that.
Yeah,
you are gonna continue that. If it's in a kid's head, that's with them.
And that's where it comes into the issue. Exactly, like you're saying, then it travels through life into the point where speaking on behalf of them, theoretically, I mean nothing because throughout my life I've just been
a number. Yeah. But then it comes down to another fact, another thing that we want to talk about with the kind of role model type side of things.
Can I just say that's not blaming teachers and stuff like that?
No, it's not that. It's people higher up.
It's people higher up, and just everything generally. Sorry.
It's people higher up looking at schools and thinking, "Why is this school not making this money?" Or should we cut this? Should we cut that? And there's
that's not just schools as well. That's everything.
Oh, 100%. But I'm just saying,
we're going very political here again.
I know, but I'm saying, like, if you teach our future generation and change our future generation, you've sorted a massive issue for the next 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah, I do agree. There's a...
Because kids then grow up, they have children. You don't need to go into class and teach them anything because their parents already know.
Yeah, better upbringing definitely is a big thing, but then that comes under a broader thing than just public education as well.
Oh yeah, no,
There's
I
housing
totally agree.
situation and all that.
Yeah, but again,
which is a big part.
It still comes down to how this country's run.
Yeah.
That's the bigger umbrella under everything.
Definitely. That's a big hole to start digging into.
Yeah,
and we're tip of the iceberging saying education is an issue, which it is an issue. We're just tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of things like a tree. If you put education at the top, there's a lot of branches underneath it. That,
I mean the
NHS.
NHS.
The issue.
With the mental health side. But here you go. The biggest cause of mental health issues in men's lives are, and this was what 1,000 men said. So
Okay.
just a survey in the UK.
Can I take a guess?
Yeah, three things. Take a guess. Work is number one, 32%.
Family, or caring, like house, like something to do with family.
It's kind of. I'll give you it. Finance.
Yeah, sure.
31%.
Yeah, finance. Okay.
And the last one, their health, 23%. Which their health being last in that.
Yeah,
I think
I can understand, but yeah.
But again, it proves the stigma's there.
The stigma's there still, because they're putting work.
Oh, you should be. Yeah, exactly. You should earn this. You should earn that. You should be the food provider. You've got to worry about doing this, and the other. Yeah. No, I completely agree. Here you go. 40% of the 1,000. So nearly what's that? 400 people. Is that right? Is that the math?
What was that? Sorry.
1,000 men were asked. 40%. 400 people.
Yeah.
That's good maths for me.
Yeah.
They 40% have never spoken to anyone about their mental health.
That's a lie.
What?
They're doing it right there in that report.
Well,
other than that report, yes.
I was
sorry to make a joke. It's
29%. 29% are too embarrassed to speak about it.
That's what I was saying before.
And 20% say that there is a negative stigma on the issue, so it's pointless talking about.
Exactly.
Well, that says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It proves the point. That's the big issue.
Definitely.
You changed the stigma. You changed the other one.
I did. Yes. You
do. You change the stigma. And
like
you
I
educate.
said at the start, you've got the 1 and 2. 1 being people's thoughts, stigmas, and stereotypes towards it. 2 being your own thoughts.
Yeah.
If you change 1, 2 will come after.
Yeah. I would like to say this as well, right? I watched TikTok the other day, and it was basically a girlfriend and boyfriend. The girl was recording the boyfriend on the PlayStation in their room, like their bedroom, and he was on the PlayStation, really engrossed, headset on, and all this, and it just read as she wrote it, and she basically said, if your fella goes on the PlayStation and you have an issue with that, then go fuck yourself, because men, like boys growing up, use that as a way of a coping mechanism, which I completely agree with. We did.
Yeah.
To get lost in a world that is a fantasy world, to forget about real problems, basically.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of
them.
girls probably didn't go on the PlayStation. I've got to be honest. No, I'm not stereotyping there. Some girls did, but I'd say more boys did. Personally, like if we were on the PlayStation, it was mainly lads. So going off that, I completely agree with that. That like. Now that is how this this like cohort has grown up. Like that's how I react to certain things. I will shut myself off. I will go for a drive. I will go on the PlayStation to be by myself in my own mind. Which again, I wouldn't say is a good or bad thing, but that's what I've learned. So you adapt that and you change that to the next generation in the correct way, then the suicide rates will drop.
Yeah.
There's a theory.
That's the theory. That is a theory.
Yeah. No, that's it. So anyway.
So just discussing from that onwards.
Yes.
From having obviously mental health issues, there comes mental health disorders.
Yes.
Such as PTSD, depression, anxiety, and all that lot.
Yep.
Going off of them facts you just read a second ago.
Mm-hmm.
So what am I trying to ask here? Are all of these things just a physical showing or mental showing of suicide not a cry for help. That's not the word I'm trying to say.
Before suicide?
Yeah. Not all. It's a poorly worded question. I don't really know what I'm trying to ask.
No, I can understand what you mean. Yeah, I kind of get what you're getting at. It's a hard one because I would say everybody has certain aspects of at least one of them I would say day-to-day life as well. Everyone's got anxiety around certain things. Doesn't mean you have anxiety. You're experiencing anxiety is the best way I could put it.
Yeah.
You know, people to say, oh, I have this, and to label themselves with something that they're quite uncultured about, or that they only know through means of, you know, expression from TikTok or something, without actually getting a diagnosis of a mental health disorder is two different things. So I would say yes. However, if you do have one of those mental health issues that is you're not just experiencing it, you have it, is the best way I could put it, the differentiation between them, then yeah, I mean that's a leading down the road is the best way I could put it. But experiencing something is almost like driving a car and looking in some shop windows at a new car, but you're still just driving past them. You're experiencing it for a moment in your life, but you're not going and getting it, is the best way I could put it. You're still on
You're taking a backseat.
No. You experience it,
right,
but you don't take it upon you. So you don't go out of the car, get it, put it in your car, and keep going. Whereas if you have a mental health issue, so like anxiety or depression or PTSD, and it's like I say genuine thing. I'm saying that you're not experiencing it. You have it. You're more on that direct path to suicide. You know, you add all those together. If you have all them, you're worried. You're worrying about the end game being that.
Yeah.
Whereas experiencing something, everyone's got anxiety around certain aspects in life. You know, everyone doesn't want to do things. The same with maybe like, I don't know, very, very subtle examples of PTSD. You know, things that stick in your head that you'll remember and not want to do again, or remember because you got hurt and certain things like that, but it doesn't mean that you have PTSD. That's the best way I could put it.
Okay. I don't know. It's going to sound maybe quite obnoxious from me, but I don't think PTSD is the... Obviously, PTSD could cause suicide. I respect that. I don't think PTSD... What am I trying to say here?
What I'm saying is, right, this is the best way I can put it. So with me, I've said about having OCD in the past.
I was going to bring on to this in a
I
second.
would say I experience it on a day-to-day level. Yeah. So I would say I'm not just experiencing it, I have it. It's an issue. So that's... I personally, that's a bigger issue than someone's coming to me and saying, oh, well, yeah, it's just like checking the lights though, isn't it? No. You're experiencing it for a split second in your day by checking the lights or checking your car and then getting on with your day. I have a day of it. So it's like the mental health issue you have, but then an experience of the mental health issue doesn't necessarily mean that you have it.
Continue.
Well, that's
I know that's it, but I mean, for you personally,
yeah,
in your day-to-day life, what?
Because the main
like
thing that would go in your head, right, is to be like, I don't want this to be tomorrow, so I will kill myself. Right. That's the thing, unless something changes. Whereas because there's not enough to go and doing about it, that's why the suicide rates are staying. I'm
going to ask you a leading question then.
Go for it.
You don't have to answer. Why haven't you? If you, I don't. Please.
Okay. No. I'll be honest.
Before you answer, I'm just saying, audience. Before I ask this question to you, Joel.
Hello.
I'm not telling you to do this. I'm asking this as a question.
Isn't that a hot take? Hey.
To protrude. Why haven't you committed suicide?
That's a good question, and I never thought you'd ask me this on the podcast.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest. My mental health is not as bad as others to commit suicide.
Is that the only reason you've not?
I can cope with OCD.
Okay.
The main reason,
that is a fair answer.
The main reason for people to kill themselves is because they can't cope anymore with whatever they're struggling with. So until you get to that point, you keep going.
Good answer, and I respect that. I won't ask any more on that.
No, you can. You feel free.
I'm going to ask another question.
Oh, okay.
But not towards you.
There you go. No, I'm going to... No, I'm joking.
So
I'm joking.
why, if your reasoning for not like taking it another step and going further and doing something worse and terrible, is down to like two things you mentioned there. One, people have it worse than you.
Yeah.
And two, you can cope with it.
Yep.
it's a leading question again, but why do you then think people do commit suicide?
Because they get to maybe a time where nothing works for them anymore, or no one or nothing helps them. So then therefore their only option is suicide. And the best way I could put it is, this is from Talking Shrimp as well, the whole shebang. I know it's a podcast, but still, if you think that's the only option, then message us first. Is the best way I could put it.
I second this.
Yeah.
And
if you genuinely get to that point, and I'm not joking with this, message us. I don't give a shit what you want us to do or anything. If you just want us to listen, if you just want to message us, if you want to kill yourself, message us first. And that sounds really silly to say, but I'm being so genuine with that should be a thing.
Yeah.
It sounds really stupid to say.
Not message a podcast.
No, but like the best way I could put it is, if let's say you get to the worst, right? I have OCD, got to that point, right?
Oh, this is literally what I was about to ask you. Okay, before you answer this, I was literally going to say, I asked them 2 questions because my follow-up question was going to be,
if I got to that point.
If you got to that point, what would you do? Which I think is what you were just about to answer with. So
honestly, I'd probably put a personal preference and like personally how I've been brought up and stuff. I would probably go to my mum.
Yeah, okay.
And I would put it on. It sounds bad putting it on her, but put it on her to do something because I don't know what to do. Yeah. Is the best way I could put it, because I know that like it's like it's different from like a parent's perspective. But again, that could be another factor on doing it and acting on it, because people might not have their parent there. So there's loads of factors around it, but that'll probably
definitely.
be mine.
There is loads of factors that can affect.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's hard because
I've got to be honest as well. This is a real shit thing to say, but I'll be honest, right? I've always thought in my head, and this sounds really bad considering everything we just talked about, if you kill yourself, that's the easy way out.
Yeah.
Like that it's almost like it sounds bad, but a coward's thing to do.
Yeah,
it sounds bad because you're leaving so much hurt with everybody else.
Yeah.
The world's better with you in it. So keep that as primarily thought. Like any other thoughts, any other feelings, even if you can't cope and get to that end, don't be selfish and think that. That's the best way I could put it. It sounds really, really shit to say.
It does sound shit, because I was literally just about to say,
it does sound bad.
That is so contradictory to everything we just said, because you're not putting yourself first in that situation.
No.
You're putting others first to think,
the world's better with me in it, so therefore I'm backseating myself. And to be fair, that might even help you.
To be fair, it is a good excuse to use that as an excuse.
Yeah.
Because there is so much more better to live for.
Yeah. Even if you're a complete stranger listening to this, right, and you message us, I'd much prefer the world with you in it.
Yeah.
And genuinely, I mean that. Like it's but no, honestly, that's the way that you should like have in your head that it genuinely could be the kick up the ass to be
better
in your head to stop you.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then I don't care if it sounds bad. If it works, it works.
Yeah, you've got to find what works for you. And if literally the thought of everyone you know, and may that be no one, and you're listening to this and we don't know you and you don't know us.
Yeah.
We now know you and you now know us, so you better not do it, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which obviously we are aiming that specifically at people. But as we said at the start, the fact of like, what was it? 1 in 5 people have suicidal thoughts,
Yeah.
Between me and you and our friend group, that there's 5 or 6 of us in our friend group. I would say them stats are potentially wrong.
Potentially, yeah.
I would say out of 5 of us, unless we're a very depressed friend group, I would say at least over half of us have probably had suicidal thoughts.
Yeah.
Maybe not enough to on it, but
no, I would also, how I said earlier with, the world's better with you in it and certain things like that. It, like, you really do have to, it sounds bad to say, put someone in your head, something or someone, to think, like, how would they feel if I did it type thing. Like, you've really got to spin it round.
Yeah.
Yeah, even down to the sake of, like, a dog. Like, if you have no one, but a dog, if you kill yourself, what's the dog going to do?
Yeah.
Like, there's a really good point with dogs being, loving animals and certain things like that. But something that can't portray an actual conversation with you to prevent it, can prevent it by just being there.
Yeah.
And that's take a leaf out of a dog's book, for fuck's sake, and just be there for someone, all right? You just have to sit there and look happy. Like, that's all you have to do. It's not as difficult as people or films or things like that make out. All you have to do is be there for someone, ask if they're okay, and if they're not, just listen.
Yeah,
that's all it can
I
be.
completely agree, and that's it. And they're the experience from life that are better than others.
Yeah, 100%.
Just being around friends and people that you know.
Yeah,
being able to talk openly.
Yeah,
and openly means talking about things like this openly.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I personally think anyway, and even having the like tightness in your friendship group, and not just having idiots that you can talk about this stuff and joke about it, but to a degree that you all know that it's a safe place.
Yeah, no, I agree. I also think
that helps.
If you have a friendship group and you have someone like that you just said, who like doesn't care and isn't a proper friend and won't listen to you ever, then come out of your life.
Yeah,
you don't need that.
They don't mind.
They're not a proper friend. They don't need you. They don't need that. Like, it's if you have a friendship group that you all can say, like, I haven't had a good day today, and you can talk about it or anything like that, that's great. Like, you need to hold on to that. But going back to the stats and stuff, like you just said, the 40% of men that were asked, 1,000, right?
Yeah.
They said reasons. Okay, so the reasons,
I think
like,
you said them, didn't you?
No, like quoting. Sorry.
Okay.
So 40%. Sorry, yeah, the 40% of the 40%, if that makes sense, like broken down further. Okay.
Okay.
Said I've learned to deal with it.
Okay.
So they've just almost dismissed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say I'm in that ballpark.
Yeah, I'd agree with me as well too. I'd say that it's more of a day-to-day. Yeah. 36% of the 40%. Sorry. I don't wish to be a burden to anyone. Yeah. So again, you're just taking it in yourself and just getting on with it.
I'd say it's very similar to the first one, to be honest, in a way.
Yeah, again, the other one was that I'm too embarrassed, 29%, and there's a negative stigma, which it came up earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, it comes down to the same thing as what we just talked about.
Yeah. I'm just going to read what I said at the start one more time, and I want to discuss them a bit more. Yeah. I will give where each of the stats and figures are from. They're not something that I've just pulled out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I said at the start, over 700,000 people take their own life each year. That's one person every 40 seconds. That is information from the World Health Organization. That is public information. Every 40 seconds, one person commits suicide. That's not man. That's not female. That's not whatever you want to identify yourself as. That is a person on this planet. Me and you.
Yeah.
One person. You listening to this. Like, when we reach the end of this podcast today, there will be 30 less people on this planet. Yeah. Due to suicide alone.
Yeah, specifically.
Choice. That is by choice that someone has taken their own life. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. And that's why that needs to change. Like, something needs to change.
That's mental. Like, put that into perspective. Like, again, like, think of a friend group. Think of your workplace.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
that is mental. Like, it doesn't sound a lot. Like, no, it doesn't sound a lot, but like, it's been 45 minutes. Think of what you've done listening to this podcast.
That's a half of football.
It's a half of football, yeah. And
it's not even a film. It's barely an episode.
To base this off the Euros, that, you know, half of a game of football. In that half of football, 30 people have committed suicide. Yeah. So that's crazy numbers.
Yeah, over 60 by the end of the game.
Yeah, mental.
Every game. Think how many football games go on. Like, think how many showings are at the cinema every day.
Think how often 40 seconds passes.
Yeah,
and that's someone committing suicide.
Yep.
The next stat I read was 115 people die by suicide in the UK every week. 75% of those are male. I mean, it's a very similar stat. That stat was from ONS. I'm not sure what that is.
Okay.
It is Office for National Statistics.
There you go.
So
yeah.
You know, that going back to it being Men's Mental Health Month, I'm just going to put in here. I'm a bit of a leading question.
Go for it.
Did you know it was Men's Mental Health Month in June before June came round?
Yes, only because somebody told me. So it wasn't. I didn't see it. Somebody told me.
Yeah.
And that was only, I think, a couple months prior.
To be fair, I've only seen it on social media. I've not seen it as public advertised on commercials, on TV, anything like that.
No.
The only place I've seen it is other people posting about it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
And then I'm going to throw you under the bus a little bit.
Oh.
Do you know when females or a woman's mental health month is?
I did. I had this in my head just before the podcast started. You're going to have to tell me.
May. The month of May.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you know, we don't want this to specifically be about males. We are aiming this
no. We're just
because
saying
it is June currently.
Yeah.
And
we're
off,
two blokes. Like, we're
and we
just,
are, we can't speak on a woman's perspective. We are two males sat here.
Yeah.
You know, maybe in the future we'll do a podcast with a female and do.
I like that idea. I like that because I don't want to speak on behalf of females. Is the best way to put it.
I mean, we probably have in the past. So
yeah, I know, but like primarily and say you know this is like because I personally I'd say I think women's struggles could differentiate between men.
Yeah,
I think women struggle with different things to men.
Oh, 100%. Well, yeah.
So,
and then there are crossovers.
Yeah, but I know, but we can't say 100%. That's what I'm saying. So I feel like that would be a good thing to say.
I agree, yeah. Before you move away, I'm carrying on with these stats. Just before we move away from that one, 75% are males of the 115 people every week. So every week, just in the UK alone, I know I'm just literally going over these stats, but I'm drilling it home because like 115 people just in the UK. That is about 72 males. And then about 40 females every week commit suicide. Just in the UK.
Yeah.
That's mental. That's crazy. And then,
but like you said, by choice. Like that's the
by choice is the crazy part. Yeah. 1 in 5 people have suicidal thoughts. That is from the NHS digital website.
Yeah.
NHS. That's NHS source. I mean, there's not really a lot to discuss on that because we're discussing this generally. But 1 in 5, like.
Is that suicidal thoughts?
Suicidal thoughts.
So that's not like experiencing like anxiety and things like that. That is
not anything else.
That is specifically.
That is. Yeah. I've thought about killing myself, basically.
Yeah, that's.
And I've got to be honest, I don't think that stat's right. I would say it's a lot higher than that.
I agree, yeah.
1 in 5 seems, from my personal experience of people I know and people who have spoke to me.
I'd say at least 2.
I would say at least 2 out of 5 people.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
That's like 1 in 3, I would say, personally.
Yeah.
That's no stats, that's just me saying it. The stats here in front of me from the NHS is 1 in 5. The next one, which is also from the NHS, 1 in 14 people self-harm.
Yeah.
Like, crazy. We haven't really touched much on self-harm on this episode.
But that's another thing where, like, the new generation of people on this earth are into that world.
How do you mean?
Well, I feel like that self-harm specifically is increasing due to not being educated correctly in mental health and ways to cope and who to talk to and how to do things.
I agree, and I'm going to be a bit ignorant here. I've never understood it.
What meant? Yeah,
self-harming. I mean,
no,
I've never understood it. I don't. This might be me being ignorant.
Well, to be honest, I've only understood it through experiences. Not I haven't self-harmed, but experiences of talking to people. Like
same.
That's what I mean.
Like I spoke to people who've done it, and I still don't understand it.
Yeah,
I don't.
I guess it's one of those things.
I don't understand it, but that's for me, not for you to try and empathize to me and
no. That's the thing. But again, like that's the education around it, isn't it? It's. I don't think
it was anything. I don't ever remember being taught about self-harm in school.
No.
And I don't know if that's something that's on the syllabus these days that's spoke about. I have no idea. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a hard one.
Yeah, it is. And like, just to go back to 1 in 14 again. When I was in school, I would say, I mean that's 10 years ago. I would still say them numbers are higher. Maybe not.
I don't know. But the thing that I can't grasp is, like you said, with self-harming, you get really smart kids, right? Like academically smart, you know, like doctors, lawyers, like uni students, stuff, who go through until the end of university with such high grades, but struggle because of pressures that they're under.
Yeah.
And then you get all these doctors that come out of uni and then they kill themselves because they don't know how to cope because of the pressure that they're under.
Yeah.
Like there's so much like science, English, maths, bang, 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 all this. But learning to cope with yourself, take a back seat. And it's always take a back seat. It's never on par. Which personally I feel should be. You know, you're not even taught like how to like almost think for yourself and allow those feelings to even have a thought. You know, like a lot of the time you talk like we'll talk, and it's not about like not wanting to talk. It's that I don't know how to. I don't actually know how to get my feelings across to you.
Yeah, I get that. No, I get that.
Yeah.
I can relate to that on a personal
But
level.
you educate people on it, they would. And therefore, it's out of their head. And like you said, it's one of those things where it's a problem shared is a problem halved.
I don't disagree with that last statement, but you saying about the education, I do agree and I do disagree as well. Because that won't work to everyone on every level.
No, it definitely won't. No.
But it will help numbers.
But the same goes with anything you educate kids on. It's the same sort of principle.
Yeah, and I don't mean that on numbers in like numbers, people are numbers, and going back to that. I mean, it will help bring them numbers down. Like we're discussing numbers here. Hopefully, it'd bring them numbers down. But I know you want to say something else, but before the last one from the NHS that I read at the start was 1 in 15 people attempt suicide. Like, put that into perspective to the first stat that I read, that 1 in every 40 seconds, someone does successfully commit suicide and takes their own life. 1 in 15 people attempt it.
Yeah.
So that's unsuccessfully. Now, it's hard to talk about this without it sounding really odd, because you don't want them numbers to go down or go up.
No.
You don't want that number to exist. You don't want someone to even attempt it.
No.
You don't want... So you do want it to go down.
You don't want a thought in their head sort of thing. Like, you want to take a backtrack. But, like, that's high. Like, for like, something that... Well, I say it hasn't worked.
Yeah.
But it hasn't worked.
Yeah. Like, that's for me, a harder hitter than, like, the 1 in 5 thinking about suicidal thoughts. 1 in 15 are actually taking action.
Yeah.
Like, say you work... Okay, listeners at home, presuming your office building right now.
Here we go.
I imagine there's at least 15 people that you work with.
Yeah.
One in your group, and that may even be you, has attempted suicide. Like, think about that.
Well, going off those stats, yes.
Yeah. Someone you work with right now...
If you imagine,
Someone you work with right now, or yourself, has attempted it, and they were unsuccessful.
Yeah.
Now imagine if they'd been successful and taken their own life.
Yeah.
Like, think of the impact that would have
but
just
also,
on that small second of their decision, which obviously isn't a second decision. It's probably a big thought. But
that's the idea around it. I completely agree. Yeah.
The other two stats I will just say: males aged 45 to 49 have the highest suicide rate. That's from Samaritans. That fact was from.
So older gents.
And that just proves, like, males just before hitting their 50s.
Yeah.
Midlife crisis.
Yeah.
You know,
but again, it proves the point that if we don't start educating our next generation,
and us now, our generation,
our generation, that's gonna just continue. The same as the younger ones. Like, it's just gonna keep going.
And not to pander just to that, but that to everyone. But going off, that's the highest. It'd be good if you could see the whole facts and figures of what, like, percentage. It's hard because it's such a hard thing to get a better various, like, information on. If you could see like a number, sorry, this is me talking out loud, just thinking as I'm talking. I'm a numbers person, and I like seeing things based on numbers.
Yeah, as
hence
you can tell.
why this podcast is very numbers based. But for me, if you're like me, like, it hits home when you say stuff like this.
It makes it more poignant compared to just talking about it.
Yeah, definitely. When you've got, like, a number to then base off yourself, to then put into perspective of real life what's happening.
Yeah, like you said, the people in the workplace and things like that, 100%. Where you can actually like imagine it.
So that's what I'm trying to say. That one with the 45 to 49 and the highest suicide rate, it'd be nice to see the figures of what all the other...
It doesn't mean it'd be nice, but it would be nice to see it.
For me personally, it'd be nice to see
that.
To base off what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
Because me just saying it has the highest suicidal rate, you never know. Like, 62 to 67 might be the second highest for females, exactly. And it might only just be...
Yeah, it'd be interesting broken down, is what you're saying.
I don't think the issue lies just there with it being males.
What's the last stat?
The last stat, which is from Mental Health Federation, is 10% of young people self-harm. And I think that sort of plays into the hands of the 1 in 4 people self-harm. And I think if you're thinking 10%, Think of I'm going to use the situation again. If you were back in school, if you were in a public education place. Think of
you have a class of 30.
Say you have a class of 30.
Self-harm.
3 people in that class, self-harm.
Yeah.
So that kind of plays into the know the 1 in 14 self-harm. Going off that, it'd be 2 in.
And again, whilst it's at that level,
so.
Someone needs to step in and do something at that level.
Yeah,
you don't want that.
I've got to be honest though. Like, this is a leading question for me and you. I would say, back in school, I knew more than 2 people that self-harm in a class. And that's when we were in school. I would say them numbers are higher now.
Yeah,
that's not a good thing. I'm not bragging that. I'm saying, going off these stats, the one is 10% of people self-harm. Using that fact to then fact check against the other one, which was 1 in 14 people self-harm.
Yeah, but it also
if you say 28 people self-harm, that means 2 people in that 28 group, which is a class.
Yeah, but it would be also interesting to see it broken down into like areas throughout England too, and certain deprived areas and things like that, and then environmental factors in which like you know, like less money and struggles and family and things like that. But then, like you said, imagine you get a big secondary school and you get every class has 30. I know it won't, but I'm just saying. And there's 10 classes. That's 30 kids in your whole school self-harming. Yeah. Minimum. Yeah. That's a big number. That's a big chunk. And then imagine that, and you like, and having to deal with that percentage that's apparently right now. Yeah. That's a lot of issue to sort out in one school alone. 30 kids.
And think of how many schools in your area.
Yeah.
In your county.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's really bad. It's really bad. But
anyway, I mean, that's why it is the biggest killer in the UK, right?
Yeah. No, yeah.
Other than it is, isn't it?
I think it's heart disease.
I think heart disease and maybe then cancer.
Maybe, yeah.
Still, it's not to downplay them. Sorry, I will let you go on to you're so eager to say something.
I'm eager.
Not to downplay like any other disease or anything like that. This is
one that's controlled.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds so shit for me to say this is by choice. Obviously,
yeah, but this can be sorted.
That's what I mean. There are
like we haven't got a treatment for cancer. We haven't got a cure for cancer. Yeah. So like if we did, we'd do this. But I'm saying like we there is something that can be done.
Yeah, you said that better than I could. I'm
really struggling
to say it.
And that's why we have a podcast together.
Yeah. Go on, sorry. I will let you... You've been eager to say something.
No, I'm just going to say... So I was looking into, and this is what I came from doing this podcast, I was talking to Mitch about male role models and how I feel like a lot of kids struggle because I think a lot of families are single mums or don't have a good male role model is the best way I could put it. So in order to talk about it, I asked Mitch... who he thought and I thought good male role models are for people to look up to. So if you have any that you do, we're all ears. We want to know. But I'll give you one straight off the bat. Okay.
Go on.
Roman Kemp.
Yeah.
I think he is one of the best people. Not just male. I think he's one of the best people our age in this country right now. I think he's got his head on a lot more than big people in this country have, and know exactly what's right, what's wrong, and what matters in young people's lives. And I think if you do delve into it, you understand why. So I will explain. Roman Kemp had a friend, and his friend and colleague he used to work with was called Joe.
I remember this.
Yeah, and in 2020 he took his own life, Joe. And he was 31 at the time. And yeah, it shocked the nation, and everybody knew about it, and it sort of just happened very quickly. It was everywhere very quickly. It was all over TikTok, everything like that. And since then, and before, Rome Kemp's been a lot of he's been a lot of places, speaking a lot of things about mental health regarding his personal experience of being the other side of suicide. Yeah. So I'm just going to read a few quotes sort of thing because these are things that he said. So Rome Kemp said, I wanted to call him a fraud prior to him committing suicide because of his mental health. Right.
That's very honest of him to say.
It's very honest. I fully respect him. But then after that quote, obviously, he says, now he's gone, I feel like I have to apologise to him And that's the people that's been left. That's like a really good male role model. Like now, I'm not saying because of that. I'm just saying he's more so now because of a bad event.
But it shouldn't have had to got to that, and I think that's what he's trying to say.
You kind of, yeah. And he, like, fair play to him. Like, he's got some balls on him to say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and he's very, very an advocate for men's mental health this month, as well as everything else.
Throughout.
But primarily because he's experienced it.
Yeah.
That's the best way I could put it. So that's a good male role model to kick things off. You got any others?
Oh, God.
I've got one in the barrel if you want.
Yeah, go on. Sorry, I wasn't...
Tom Fletcher, McFly.
Yeah.
Who does loads of things for charity, loads of books. He's always on talk shows, writes songs, does storybooks and things like that. But one of the main things was Dougie McFly, the bassist. He during would you say McFly's height? I don't know. About 20 was it 2009, 2010, something like that. Anyway, Dougie went into the jungle. I'm a Celebrity because of mainly like I think it was substance abuse,
Right. Yeah.
at the time, and certain things like
I
that.
can understand that.
Yeah, and one of the main reasons of doing so was his band members, and I'm saying like that happened like over 10 years ago, but I don't feel like a lot's changed as well. But why?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm saying like back there, like there was this issue around someone's mental health and like substance abuse, which I would personally say the substance abuse, like if it's just like with the mental health side of it and not like an addictive side or anything, but it can be a way of coping, so therefore comes after the mental health issue.
Yeah.
Theory goes. So because of that, obviously his band members stepped in and helped him. But that happened like over 10 years ago, over a decade ago, and like it isn't sort of changed by now, is the best way I could put it.
Right.
Like, there's still blokes that don't really know how to handle the situation with other mates that they've got, or how to talk about it, or even if they want to. Some blokes just don't care because there's no passion in it. There's no like issue around it, and also the stigma. But
Yeah.
why? It's been that long.
Well, that's what I mean. It's been around forever. It's not just come around now.
Oh no, I
It's-
completely agree. But I'm just saying it's not changing.
No, and that's why hopefully change will happen. Change will come, and
yeah,
even if
completely.
it's just this, you listening to this, I
Yeah.
completely. I get what you're saying. Like it, yeah. Even 10 years ago, yeah. I'm just reiterating what you just said.
Yeah, right. But yeah, if you want to take anything away from this podcast, just stay curious with people. Ask if they're okay, and just be there for people. Be kinder.
Yeah.
And
Is there anything else? Yeah, I know you're sort of tying it all together.
okay.
Is there anything else you want to discuss? Because there's one more thing I'm going to say, and then I want to cut this podcast very abruptly around the end.
No, you go for it.
Yeah, happy.
Right,
Everything you want to everything you discussed.
Yeah,
you're happy
go
to.
for it.
Thank you. Okay. All I'm going to say is, we said at the start, if you wanted to, or said throughout, message us if you don't want to talk to anyone or don't know who to talk to. All I will say is, please do that. I'm just going to say there are companies. This isn't me. I'm like trying to push away
Like
from
Samaritans and people.
Samaritans. You can phone Samaritans. It's free to call 24/7 all the time, anytime you need to. 116 123. Save that number. Get that number memorized. 116 123.
116 123.
No, you can't do that. That's copyrighted, I'm pretty sure.
116 123.
Yeah.
116 123.
Literally, that's just the first one. There's hundreds. There's shout. You can text shout to 85258. Completely, I'm 24/7. I'm not going to say completely free because obviously there'll be charges applied to your phone. But again, another one. There's Calm. There's Mind. There's Rethink. There's the NHS. There's call. What's the like not emergency line? 222.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously,
I think so.
use the charities first, or maybe not charities. The helplines first before NHS, because that'll be for other things. The Samaritans and Shout and Minds and Calm are all dedicated for that.
Yeah.
yes, that's all I was going to say to finish this podcast off.
Yeah, no, I like that. I really like that.
Just Google them. Samaritans, Minds, Calm, any of them. They are all help for mental health, not just for males, for females, for anything or anyone in between that doesn't know what they are or want to be.
Yeah.
They are
I agree.
support for any sort of suicidal or thoughts that are suicidal or depression.
Yeah, but just to wrap it up, Eminem. Yeah, just talk. Just talk. Don't feel like you're alone in this, because you're not. And as the wise man once said, you're with people. The more people you talk to, the more together you are. You need to stay together, because you will be stronger, way stronger together with people that know any issues. Like, you can get through so much more with more people, and yeah, just hang in there.
Yeah,
just hang in there.
Yeah, hang in there.
Just hang in there. Sounds bad, doesn't it?
It does. I'm not a big fan of hang in there as the closing thing to say. I'll end on this, as it's been a facts and figures thing throughout the whole podcast. I said that in 45 minutes, 30 people die. Well, this episode ran on. We've done an hour.
Mm-hmm.
In this hour, 40 people have died. Committed suicide. Not died. Chose. From no fault of their own, or couldn't take any more, they have chose to commit suicide.
Yep.
Just whilst you and I have been talking, and you at home have been listening, 40 people have chose or had no other option than to live on this planet no more. Please talk to people, and we will end on that.
Yes, we love you always. We're always here. And please talk.
Talking Shrimp out.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.